My brother begged for a chance to plan my son's 10th birthday, taking $12,000 of my hard-earned savings. I thought he was booking a luxury gaming arena. Instead, he funded his own child's lavish party while leaving mine with nothing. So, I destroyed his reputation and sued him for everything. This is where the story truly begins, and you won't want to miss what happens. Make sure you're subscribed to see it through to the end. We're always curious. Where in the world are you all watching from today? Let us know in the comments. The betrayal didn't arrive with a scream or a crash. It arrived with the polite, confused clearing of a throat on the other end of a phone line, amidst the hum of my office's HVAC system at 9:00 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was buried under a mountain of spreadsheets, my eyes stinging from 12 hours of staring at blue light monitors. As a forensic accountant, tax season wasn't just a busy period. It was a 3-month endurance test where sleep became a luxury and coffee became a food group. I was currently auditing a mid-sized construction firm suspected of embezzling funds through shell companies, a task that required absolute precision and mental clarity. But my mind wasn't entirely on the missing assets of a concrete supplier. It was drifting, guiltily, toward my son Leo. Leo was turning 10 in 2 weeks, double digits. It was the first big birthday, the crossover from being a little kid to a preteen. For the past 3 years, ever since his father walked out to find himself in Thailand and never came back, I had compensated for the absence with stability. I worked hard, too hard, sometimes, to ensure Leo never felt the financial sting of a single-parent household. This year, I wanted to give him the moon. Specifically, the Neon Nexus, the city's premier esports and virtual reality gaming arena. It was ridiculously expensive, exclusive, and exactly what a 10-year-old gamer dreamed of. Because my workload was drowning me, I had made a fatal error. I delegated. When my phone buzzed on the mahogany desk, vibrating against a stack of invoices, I assumed it was a client. I picked it up without checking the caller ID, my voice raspy from disuse. Ava speaking. Hi, is this Ava? A woman's voice, cheerful but hesitant. I'm calling from Catering by Design. We're just finalizing the menu for the event on the 24th, and I wanted to double-check the allergy restrictions for the birthday boy. I rubbed my temples, fighting a migraine that had been lurking behind my left eye since noon. Oh, right? Yes. Thank you for calling. It's for Leo. No peanuts, and we have one guest who is gluten intolerant, but my brother Derek should have sent all this over in the file. There was a long pause on the other end, the kind of silence that has weight. The sound of typing clattered in the background. I'm sorry, the woman said, her cheerfulness evaporating into professional confusion. You said, Leo. Yes, Leo, my son. That's strange, she murmured. The invoice and the event sheet I have here, which was paid for with a card ending in 4588. That's your card, correct? Yes, I said, my stomach tightening. That was my primary checking account debit card. I had given Derek the authorization to use it strictly for the deposits. Okay, well, the event is listed under Derek as the organizer, but the banner text and the custom cake topper are listed for Toby. The world seemed to stop spinning. The air in my office, previously stale and warm, suddenly felt ice cold. Toby, I repeated, the name tasting like ash in my mouth. Did you say Toby? Yes, ma'am. Toby's 8th level up. That's the theme, and the venue listed for delivery isn't the Neon Nexus. It's the Grand Oak Country Club Ballroom. I gripped the edge of my desk so hard my knuckles turned white. Toby was my nephew, Derek's son. His birthday was 3 days after Leo's. Ma'am, the caterer asked, are we still confirming the gluten-free options? My heart was hammering a frantic rhythm against my ribs, a physical manifestation of panic and rage colliding. I felt like I was going to be sick right there on my pristine office carpet. There must be a mistake, I managed to whisper, though the forensic accountant in me, the part of my brain wired to detect fraud, theft, and inconsistencies, already knew the truth. There was no mistake. The data points were aligning into a picture so ugly I didn't want to look at it. "I need you to send me the invoice," I said, my voice dropping to a deadly calm. "Right now, send me everything you have signed by Derek." Okay, sending it now," she stammered, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. A moment later, the email pinged. I opened the attachment. There it was in black and white, my credit card number, my billing address. And under event title, Toby's Ultimate 8th Birthday Bash. Total cost for catering alone, $4,500. I sat back in my ergonomic chair, the leather creaking in the silence of the empty office. I had given Derek $12,000. $12,000. It was meant to be the party of the century for Leo. I looked at the photo of Leo on my desk, smiling with a missing front tooth, trusting me to make his world safe and happy. Then I looked back at the invoice. The betrayal was worse than the diagnosis itself. It was a surgical strike to the heart, executed by the one person I was supposed to be able to trust with my life. I didn't scream, I didn't throw the phone. I simply sat there, frozen, as the digital glow of the invoice burned into my retinas. It was a physiological shock, the kind usually reserved for car accidents or sudden drops in cabin pressure. My body went into survival mode, diverting blood flow from my extremities to my core. My hands were freezing. I closed my eyes and tried to breathe, but every inhale felt jagged. Derek. My little brother. The one I had defended on the playground when we were kids. The one I had bilaid out of credit card debt in his 20s. The one I had cosigned a car lease for just last year because he needed a reliable vehicle to get to interviews. I unlocked my phone and navigated to my banking app. My fingers trembled, tapping the wrong digit twice before I finally logged in. I pulled up the transaction history for the separate account I had set up for the party funds. I had transferred the lump sum of $12,000 into a joint access account I created specifically for this event, giving him a card. I had been so busy with the audit that I hadn't checked the line items in 3 weeks. I trusted him. Trust. In my line of work, trust was a liability. I spent my days verifying, cross-referencing, and exposing people who abused trust. And yet, here I was, the victim of the oldest con in the book, the family favor. I scrolled through the transactions. The Party Palace, deposit, $2,000. Luxury limo services, $800. Catering by design, $4,500. Custom decor and balloon arches, $1,500. Grand Oak Country Club, rental fee, $3,000. The balance was nearly zero. I clicked on the transaction for the Party Palace. I knew that place. It was a generic, loud, chaotic arcade center in the strip mall next to the highway. It was fine for a casual afternoon, but it wasn't the neon nexus. It was cheap. I realized with a sickening jolt what he had done. He hadn't just stolen the money for Toby. He was still planning something for Leo, something cheap, something throwaway. He was going to spend a few $100s on a pizza party at a strip mall arcade for my son, and spend the remaining $11,000 on a country club gala for his own kid. I dialed Derek's number. It rang and rang and rang. "Yo, this is Derek. Leave a message, or better yet, text me for business inquiries regarding de-event planning." I hung up, I dialed again. This time, it went straight to voicemail. He had declined the call. I stared at the phone, a wave of nausea rolling over me. I imagined him right now, probably sitting in his living room with his wife, Megan, laughing. I could see Megan, always perfectly made up, always complaining that they deserved more from life despite neither of them holding down a full-time job for more than 6 months, scrolling through Pinterest, picking out centerpieces paid for with my overtime hours. I remembered the last time I saw them, just a week ago at Sunday dinner. I had looked exhausted, bags under my eyes, complaining about the audit. "Don't worry, sis," Derek had said, clapping a hand on my shoulder. His grip had been firm, his smile dazzlingly reassuring. "I've got Leo's party under control. You just focus on catching the bad guys at work. Let Uncle Derek handle the fun stuff. It's going to be a surprise, so don't peek at the details. A surprise. He had looked me in the eye, he had eaten my food, he had hugged my son. And the whole time, he had been siphoning my bank account to fund a coronation for his own child. I stood up, pacing the small length of my office. My reflection in the window showed a woman unraveling, hair messy, blouse wrinkled, eyes wide with disbelief. But beneath the shock, something else was igniting. A cold, hard ember of fury. I wasn't just a sister. I wasn't just a mother. I was a forensic accountant. My entire career was built on the premise that numbers don't lie, even when people do. I traced hidden assets for divorce attorneys. I found embezzled funds for corporations. I destroyed liars with paper trails. Derek thought he was clever. He thought he could hide the nature of the expenses because event planning was vague. He thought because I was busy, I wouldn't notice the vendors were for the wrong date or the wrong venue until it was too late. He thought he could gaslight me, maybe claim the vendors mixed it up, or that he combined the parties to save money. He relied on my love for him to be his shield. He banked on the fact that I wouldn't want to ruin the family dynamic, that I wouldn't want to upset our parents, that I would just swallow the loss to keep the peace. But he had forgotten one crucial thing. He had forgotten that while he played checkers with family loyalty, I played 4D chess with financial evidence. He forgot that I didn't just get mad, I got receipts. To understand why this betrayal cut so deep, you have to understand the history of Derek and Ava. We grew up in a household that was loving but financially tight. I was the older sister, the responsible one, the one who started working at 16 to save for college. Derek was the baby. He was charismatic, handsome, and utterly allergic to accountability. He was the kind of kid who could break a neighbor's window and somehow talk the neighbor into apologizing for putting the house in the trajectory of his baseball. Our parents enabled it. "He's a creative soul," my mother would say when he quit another job. "He just needs the right opportunity," my father would insist when I had to loan him rent money for the third time in a year. I bought into it too. I loved him. When my husband left, Derek was there. He helped me move furniture. He played video games with Leo when I was crying in the bathroom. He wasn't evil, he was just selfish. And I had always confused his occasional moments of kindness for genuine reliability. The setup for this disaster began 2 months ago. Derek had come to my house for dinner with Megan and Toby. Megan, a woman who listed her profession as lifestyle curator on Instagram, but mostly posted photos of lattes and other people's vacations, was lamenting their financial state. "It's just so unfair," Megan had sighed, poking at her pot roast. "Derek has so much talent for events. Remember that tailgate he organized in college? Legendary. But no one will give him a shot without a portfolio." "I just need one big event," Derek had said, his eyes lighting up with that manic optimism that usually preceded a request for money. "One high-budget, luxury event to show what I can do. Then the clients will roll in." Then he looked at me. "Ava, you're planning something huge for Leo's 10th, right? You mentioned that gaming place." "The Neon Nexus," I said. "Yeah, I'm planning to drop about 10 or 12 grand. It's a lot, but he deserves it." Derek and Megan exchanged a look. It was a quick, micro-expression of greed that I should have caught, but I was too busy cutting Leo's meat. "Let me do it," Derek said. "Hire me, I won't charge you a fee. Just give me the budget, let me handle the vendors, the bookings, the coordination. You're swamped with tax season. You don't have time to call caterers and negotiate with venue managers. Let me take that load off your shoulders. It'll build my portfolio, and Leo gets the best party ever." It sounded perfect. It sounded like a solution to my stress and a helping hand for his career. "Are you sure?" I had asked. "It's a lot of money, Derek. It has to be perfect." "I swear on my life," Derek had said, placing a hand over his heart. "I will treat this money like it's my own." The irony of that statement made me want to vomit now. He had treated it like his own. Literally. I sat back down at my desk and pulled up a new spreadsheet. I named it Case File, Brother Dearest. I needed to know the full extent of the rot before I made my move. I started digging into Megan's social media. I didn't follow her closely because her posts usually annoyed me, but now her feed was a goldmine of evidence. I found it immediately, a post from 3 days ago. It was a photo of a digital mock-up for an invitation. Gold leaf font on a black background. Toby's Royal 8th birthday gala. The caption read, "So excited to finally give my baby the celebration he deserves. Blessed Boymum Highlife Country Club living." I scrolled through the comments. A friend of hers asked, "Wow, looks expensive. Did Derek finally land that big promotion?" Megan's reply, something like that, "God provides for the faithful." God didn't provide that, Megan. I did. I looked closer at the invitation mock-up. The date was May 24th. Leo's birthday was May 21st. Derek was planning to hold Toby's party on the Saturday following Leo's birthday, the exact weekend I had told him I wanted for Leo's party. Then I saw the kicker. In her Instagram stories, archived under Party Prep, Megan was filming herself unboxing party favors, customized VR headsets, high-end gaming merch. "Look at these," she squealed at the camera. "For the VIP bags, the kids are going to freak out." Those were for Toby. My phone buzzed again. A text from Derek, finally replying to my missed calls. "Hey sis, sorry, super busy negotiating with the balloon guy for Leo. Reception is spotty. Everything is on track, don't worry about a thing. Love ya." He was lying to me via text, while his wife was broadcasting the theft on Instagram. I stared at the text, the cheerful emo. Just mocking me, he thought I was just a checkbook. He thought I was a doormat. He thought that because he was family, he was untouchable. I cracked my knuckles. The exhaustion vanished, replaced by the cold, focused adrenaline of the hunt. I wasn't going to just get my money back. I was going to teach Derek and Megan a lesson about forensic accounting that they would never, ever forget. "Don't worry about a thing," I whispered to the empty room, mimicking his text. "Oh, I'm not worried, Derek, but you should be." The transformation from heartbroken sister to cold-blooded forensic auditor happened the moment I hung up with the caterer. I didn't cry. I didn't call my mother to vent. In my line of work, emotion is noise, evidence is the signal, and I was about to tune out the noise entirely. I cleared my desk of the construction firm's audit files. I opened a fresh legal pad and a new Excel workbook. I labeled the file project, reclamation. Step 1 was asset tracking. I needed to know exactly where every cent of my $12,000 had gone, and more importantly, who legally owned the contracts. I started with the biggest ticket item, the Grand Oak Country Club. It was 9:15 p.m., but high-end venues often had event coordinators working late. I found the number for their events office and dialed. "Grand Oak Events, this is Sarah," a polished voice answered. "Hi Sarah, this is Ava. I'm calling regarding an event booked for May 24th. The contract holder is listed as Derek, but the payment was made with a Visa ending in 4588. That is my card." "Oh yes, the Toby's Royal Gala?" Sarah asked. The name of the event made my jaw clench, but I kept my voice level. "Correct. I need to verify the contract details. Specifically, I need to know whose signature is on the rental agreement." "One moment, let me pull the digital file. Okay, here it is. It's signed by Derek, and there's a co-signer signature here as well. It looks like Ava." The room went silent. "Sarah," I said, my voice dangerously soft, "I need you to listen to me very carefully. I did not sign that document." "Excuse me." "I am a forensic accountant. I am telling you that my signature has been forged on a contract worth thousands of dollars. If you look at the payment authorization form, does the signature match the contract?" I could hear the frantic clicking of a mouse. It looks similar, but... "It's not me," I stated firmly. "Now, because my card paid for the deposit and the rental fee, I am technically the financial guarantor of this event, correct?" Well, yes, usually the payer is the primary. Good, I want you to email me a PDF of that contract immediately. Do not alert Derek. If you tell him I called, I will be forced to involve the police regarding the fraudulent use of my credit card at your establishment. I am giving you a chance to help me rectify this quietly. Do you understand? Yes, ma'am, sending it right now. Minutes later, the document arrived. I zoomed in on the signature line. It was a clumsy attempt at my cursive, likely traced from an old birthday card or check I'd given him. Forgery. It wasn't just a betrayal of trust anymore. It was a felony. Derek hadn't just stolen my money. He had committed identity theft to secure a venue that required a credit check he couldn't pass. I moved down the list. Luxury limo services. I called them next. They were closed, but their automated system allowed me to check a reservation by phone number. I punched in Derek's number. You have a reservation for May 24th. Pickup location, Derek's address. Drop off, Grand Oak Country Club. Vehicle, Hummer H2 stretch. A Hummer limo for an 8-year-old. Meanwhile, I had been planning to drive Leo and his friends to the arcade in my minivan. Then came the most painful call, the Party Palace, the cheap arcade where I suspected he was dumping Leo's party. I called the number. A teenager answered, shouting over the sound of pinball machines and screaming children. Party Palace, we put the fun in fungus. Wait, no, fun in? How can I help you? Hi, I'm checking on a booking for May 21st or 24th under the name Derek or Leo. Hang on, I heard a keyboard clacking. I got a Derek here for Saturday the 24th, 11:00 a.m. slot. Great, can you tell me which package that is? Yeah, it's the Bronze Gamer package. 2 large cheese pizzas, 10 soda tokens, and 1 hour of table time in the common area. Total is $189.99. But, he hasn't paid the deposit yet. It's marked as cash on arrival. I closed my eyes, a single tear finally escaping. $189.99. He had taken $12,000. He spent over $11,000 on his own son and allocated less than $200 for mine. He wasn't even going to pay for it until he got there, probably planning to ask me for extra cash for tips on the day of the party to cover it. He was going to herd my son into a crowded common area for a single hour with cold cheese pie. ZZA, while 3 days later, his son would be arriving at a country club in a stretch Hummer. The disparity wasn't just greedy, it was cruel. It was a statement of value. To Derek, Toby was a prince. Leo was an afterthought. I printed every document, the forged contract, the limo booking, the catering invoice with Toby plastered all over it, the bronze package printout from the Party Palace website. I arranged them on my desk. This was my war room. I had the leverage. The forgery was the nuclear codes. But I needed one more thing. I needed to see his face when he lied to me. I needed the final confirmation that there was no remorse, no misunderstanding, just pure, unadulterated entitlement. I picked up my car keys. It was time to pay my brother a visit. Derek and Megan lived in a rented townhouse about 20 minutes away. It was a nice place, nicer than they could afford, filled with rent-to-own furniture and the latest electronics, usually bought on credit cards that were maxed out within months. It was nearly 10:00 p.m. when I pulled into their driveway. The lights were on. I could see the blue flicker of their massive 80-inch TV through the living room blinds. I didn't call first. I walked up the steps and rang the doorbell. It took a moment, then the door swung open. Derek stood there in sweatpants and a t-shirt that said CEO Mindset. He held a half-eaten slice of pizza. When he saw me, his eyes widened and he swallowed hard. Ava, whoa, hey, what are you doing here this late? Is everything okay? I was in the neighborhood, I lied, my voice remarkably steady. I needed to drop off Leo's allergy medication list for the party organizer. Since you're handling everything, I figured I'd give it to you directly. I pushed past him into the hallway before he could stop me. "Oh, sure, yeah, come in," he stammered, closing the door. The living room was a disaster of cardboard boxes. Megan was sitting on the floor, surrounded by piles of what looked like swag bags. She scrambled to throw a blanket over a stack of custom-printed t-shirts as I entered. "Ava, hi," Megan squeaked, her smile tight and terrified. We weren't expecting company." "I see that," I said, walking further into the room. I stopped in front of the coffee table. On the table sat a mock-up of a centerpiece. It was a golden controller trophy with the words Level 8 unlocked, Toby engraved on the base. I pointed at it. "That's a nice centerpiece, Derek. Is that for Leo?" Derek laughed, a nervous, high-pitched sound. "What? No, that's just a sample for my portfolio. I'm trying to pitch a similar theme to a client, so I ordered a sample with Toby's name just to visualize it. You know how it is. Visuals sell." "Right," I said, "and the boxes." I gestured to the pile Megan was guarding. "Inventory," Megan chimed in, "for Derek's business, just generic party stuff." I looked at them, really looked at them. They were sweating. They knew they were caught, but they were committed to the lie. It was almost impressive how committed they were. "So," I said, turning back to Derek, "tell me about Leo's party, the Neon Nexus. Is it all booked?" 100%, Derek said, puffing out his chest. "I spoke to the manager, Mike, today. We got the VIP suite. The VR treadmills, the pro gamer chairs, the whole 9 yards. It's going to be insane. Leo is going to flip. And the catering. Top notch. Sliders, sushi boat, chocolate fountain. I put the deposit down yesterday." "Strange," I said. "What's strange?" Derek asked, his smile faltering. "It's strange because I called the Neon Nexus this afternoon," I said, watching his face closely. "And they have no record of a booking for Leo. In fact, they're fully booked that weekend for a corporate retreat." The color drained from Derek's face. You called them." "I did." "Well, you probably spoke to the front desk," Derek said, his voice rising in defensive anger. "I dealt with the owner directly. It's a private booking. They wouldn't have it in the main system. God, Ava, why are you checking up on me? I told you I handled it." "And I called catering by design," I continued, ignoring his outburst. "They seemed very confused. They sent me an invoice for $4,500 for a party at the Grand Oak Country Club." I reached into my purse and pulled out the folded printout of the invoice. I tossed it onto the coffee table, right next to the Toby trophy. "Care to explain why my credit card is paying for Toby's Royal Gala, while Leo gets a pizza party at the strip mall?" The silence that followed was heavy and suffocating. Megan looked down at her lap. Derek looked at the paper, then back at me. His expression shifted. The panic vanished, replaced by a sullen, petulant scowl. The mask of the loving brother fell away, revealing the entitled brat underneath. "You have plenty of money, Ava," he spat. The words hung in the air. "Excuse me." "You make 6 figures," Derek shouted, throwing his hands up. "You live in that nice house, you drive a new car, you go on vacations. We're drowning here. Megan and I can barely pay the electric bill, and you're obsessing over a stupid birthday party for a 10-year-old who won't even remember it in 5 years." "It's my money, Derek, I trusted you." "I was going to pay you back," he yelled. "Once my business took off, I needed this party to be a showcase. If I throw a killer party for Toby, all the parents at his private school will hire me. It was an investment. I was using your money to build a future for us, for the family, but you're too selfish to see that." "So you stole from me," I said coldly, "and you stole from Leo." "I didn't steal," Megan interjected, finding her voice. "We were borrowing it, and honestly, Ava, Toby has had such a hard year. He deserves a win. Leo has everything. He doesn't need a $4,000 cake. It's greedy." I stared at them. The mental gymnastics required to justify this theft were staggering. They truly believed they were the victims here. They believed my success was a resource they were entitled to harvest. I see, I said. So, the plan was to spend my $12,000 on Toby, give Leo a $200 pizza party, and hope I didn't notice until it was too late. I was going to tell you, Derek lied. After the party, I was going to set up a payment plan. You forged my signature, Derek, I said quietly. Derek froze. What? The contract for the country club. You signed my name. That's not borrowing. That's forgery. That's fraud. That's prison time. Derek's bravado flickered. You wouldn't. Try me. I'm your brother, he screamed, stepping toward me aggressively. You're going to send your own brother to jail over a birthday party? Are you insane? Mom and Dad will never forgive you. You should have thought about Mom and Dad before you committed a felony, I said, stepping back toward the door. You have until tomorrow morning to cancel everything and return my money. All of it. I can't, Derek cried, panic setting in again. The deposits are non-refundable. The vendors have already started working. If I cancel now, we lose everything. Then I guess you lose everything, I said. I turned and walked out. Behind me, I heard Megan burst into tears and Derek kick a box across the room. You ruin everything, he screamed after me. You control freak, you selfish witch. I got into my car, locked the doors, and sat there for a moment, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. I wasn't shaking from fear. I was shaking from the adrenaline of the kill. He thought the threat of Mom and Dad would stop me. He was wrong. The next morning, the flying monkeys arrived on schedule. I was in my kitchen making coffee when my phone lit up with my mother's picture. I knew exactly how this conversation would go. Derek had called them last night, spinning a tale of woe where I was the mean, rich sister bullying him over a misunderstanding. I answered on speakerphone. Ave Marie, my mother's voice was sharp. What on earth are you doing to your brother? Good morning to you too, Mom. Don't get smart with me. Derek called me in tears. He says you threatened to call the police on him, over a party. He's trying to get his business off the ground, and you're treating him like a criminal. Mom, he stole $12,000 from me. Stole is such an ugly word, my father chimed in from the background. He borrowed it. He explained it to us. He needed liquidity for the deposits for both parties, and he got the accounts mixed up. He said he's going to fix it, but you're threatening to sue him? We are family, Ava. We don't sue family. He didn't get the accounts mixed up, Dad. He booked a country club for Toby and a strip mall for Leo. He forged my signature on a contract. He was trying to surprise you, Mom insisted. He wanted to do something nice for Toby, and he knew you'd help if you just knew how much he was struggling. You have so much, Ava, can't you just? Let him have this one. For Toby's sake, you can afford it. There it was, the enabling that had created the monster. You can afford it, he's struggling. So you're saying, I said, my voice trembling with suppressed rage, that it's okay for him to rob Leo of his birthday because I have a job and Derek doesn't. Leo is 10, Mom said dismissively. He'll be happy with pizza and video games. Toby needs this boost. He's sensitive. Just let Derek have the party and he'll pay you back slowly. Don't ruin the family over money. I'm not ruining the family, Mom. Derek did that when he signed my name to a legal document. If you call the police, my father said, his voice low and stern, don't expect us to come to Sunday dinner. You will be tearing this family apart. I hung up. I stood there staring at the phone. They had chosen a side. They had. Chosen the liar because he was the sensitive one, the one who needed help. I was the strong one, so I was expected to absorb the blow. But I was done absorbing. I went to my home office and logged into my work email. I needed to ensure my case was airtight before I pulled the trigger. I began digging deeper into de-event planning. I ran a background check on the business name. It wasn't even registered. Then I started searching local community Facebook groups. I searched for Derek and Party. I found a post from 6 months ago in a neighborhood group 2 towns over. Warning, do not hire a guy named Derek for your events. He took a $500 deposit for a DJ and never showed up. blocked my number. I found another. Scammer alert. Derek promised to get us a discount on a wedding venue, took the cash and ghosted. We had to pay double to keep the date. He wasn't just doing this to me, he was a serial grifter. He was using the aspiring planner guys to pocket deposits and run. The only difference this time was the scale. He had leveled up to a $12,000 heist because he had access to my bank account. If I let this slide, if I listened to my parents, he would do it again. And next time, he might steal from someone who couldn't afford to lose it, or he might open credit cards in Toby's name. I realized then that destroying him wasn't revenge, it was a public service. And more importantly, it was the only way to protect myself legally. If the country club found out the signature was forged and I hadn't reported it, they could come after me for fraud or complicity. I had to be the whistleblower on my own brother to clear my name. I picked up the phone and called my lawyer, a shark named Roberts who handled the nasty divorces I usually did the forensic work for. "Roberts," I said when he answered, "I have a situation. I need to file a civil suit for conversion and fraud against a family member, and I need to draft a cease and desist for unauthorized use of funds." "Ouch," Roberts said. Brother, send me the files. I'll have the papers ready by noon." "One more thing," I said, looking at the calendar. It was May 14th. The parties were 10 days away. I need to know my rights regarding the venue bookings. If my card paid for them, do I own the reservation? "Absolutely," Roberts said. "If the contract is in your name, even forged, and you paid for it, and you assume liability, you control the asset. You can cancel it, change it, or burn it down." "I don't want to burn it down," I said, a plan forming in my mind. A plan that was poetic, just, and absolutely devastating. "I want to redecorate." I hung up and looked at the picture of Leo on my desk. He had been talking about the Neon Nexus for months, but the Grand Oak Country Club, that was a venue usually reserved for weddings and galas. It had a massive ballroom, a stage, and professional lighting. If I canceled the country club, I'd lose the deposit. The money was gone. Derek had spent it. But the booking remained. I could try to get a refund, fight for months in small claims court, and end up with nothing but a judgment Derek couldn't pay. Or I could use the asset I had inadvertently purchased. I picked up the phone and dialed the Neon Nexus. "Hi, this is a strange request," I said to the manager. "But do you do off-site equipment rentals? Like, if I wanted to bring the VR setup and the gaming rigs to a ballroom?" "We do," the manager said. "It's our Mobile Arena package. It's expensive, though." "I have a budget," I said, looking at the spreadsheet where I calculated the remaining funds in my savings. "And I have a venue. I want to move the Neon Nexus to the Grand Oak Country Club." "Whoa," the manager laughed. "That would be epic. When?" "May 24th, I said. "The 24th, we're free, let's do it." I smiled. The 24th, Toby's actual birthday. The day Derek had invited all his high society friends to impress them. They were going to show up to the Grand Oak Country Club, all right, but they weren't going to find Toby's royal gala. They were going to walk into Leo's ultimate gaming championship. And Derek wouldn't know until he walked through the doors. I drafted one final email, not to Derek, not to my parents. I drafted an email to the vendor list I had found in Derek's inbox. The caterer, the balloon artist, the limo driver. Subject, urgent update regarding event on May 24th, change of management. To whom it may concern, please be advised that Derek is no longer the point of contact for this event due to financial irregularities. As the sole financier of these contracts, I, of a last name, am assuming full control. Please see the attached notarized affidavit regarding the fraudulent signature. We are making some changes to the theme. Please direct all future correspondence to me. Any further communication with Derek regarding this event will result in immediate termination of the contract. I hit send. The trap was set. Now, I just had to wait for the mouse to come for the cheese. The week leading up to the 24th was a masterclass in silence. I blocked Derek, Megan, and my parents on my phone. I had my assistant at work screen my calls. According to the red receipts on the email I sent the vendors, everyone was on board. They were terrified of being implicated in a fraud case, so they followed my instructions to the letter. Total radio silence toward Derek. Derek, in his arrogance, assumed the silence meant everything was fine. He thought I had capitulated to Mom and Dad's guilt trip. He likely believed I was sulking, but paying the bills like I always did. On the morning of May 24th, I woke Leo up with a stack of pancakes. "Happy birthday, buddy," I said, kissing his forehead. Technically, his birthday had been 3 days prior, which we celebrated with a quiet dinner, but I had told him the big party was today. "Where are we going?" he asked, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "The arcade." "Better," I smiled. "Put on your best gamer shirt. We're going to a tournament." At 11:00 a.m., the guests started arriving at the Grand Oak Country Club. I had sent out revised digital invitations to Leo's friends only 48 hours before, explaining the venue upgrade. But I hadn't canceled Derek's invitations. I stood in the lobby of the ballroom, wearing a sharp blazer and holding a clipboard. Beside me stood 2 large security guards I had hired for the day. At 11:15 a.m., the first of Derek's guests arrived. A couple I recognized vaguely, parents of one of Toby's school friends. They walked in, holding a gift wrapped in blue paper. "Welcome," I said brightly. "You're here for the birthday." "Yes, for Toby," the woman said. "Wonderful, if you'll just head through those doors." I pointed to the main ballroom. They walked in. I waited for the reaction. It took about 5 seconds. Instead of a royal gala with classical music and gold draping, they walked into a room transformed into a futuristic neon warzone. The walls were lined with 40 high-end gaming PCs glowing with RGB lights. A massive screen on the stage displayed LEOS Level 10. Dubstep music thumped softly from the speakers. The caterers were circulating with gamer fuel, sliders, and neon-colored mocktails. The couple stopped, confused. They looked at the banner. They looked at the kids running around, Leo's friends, who were already strapped into VR headsets. Then the main event arrived. A Hummer limo pulled up to the portico. The driver, who I had briefed, opened the back door. Derek stepped out, looking like he owned the world. He was wearing a tuxedo. Megan followed in a sequin gown. Toby was in a miniature suit. They strode toward the entrance, Derek waving at the valet like a celebrity. "Here we go," I heard him announce to Megan. "Showtime." He pushed open the glass doors and saw me. His smile faltered for a fraction of a second, then reassembled into a smirk. "Ava, glad you made it. I knew you'd come around. See? No hard feelings." He tried to walk past me. The 2 security guards stepped in front of him, crossing their arms. "Whoa, what's this?" Derek laughed nervously. "VIP security, nice touch, sis." "It's not for the guests, Derek," I said, my voice projecting clearly in the sudden silence of the lobby. "It's for the trespassers." "Trespassers?" Megan asked, clutching her clutch bag. "You," I said. "What are you talking about?" Derek hissed, glancing around at the other parents who were now watching. "Don't cause a scene, Ava, not here." "You caused the scene when you forged my signature on the rental agreement for this building," I said loudly. A gasp went through the small crowd, gathering in the lobby. "I didn't. I have the affidavit right here." I held up the legal folder. "And I have the lawsuit that was filed yesterday morning. You are currently being sued for $12,000 in damages for conversion, fraud, and identity theft." Derek's face went from smug to pale white in an instant. "Ava, stop. You're embarrassing me." "No, Derek, you embarrassed yourself. You stole my son's birthday money to throw a party for yourself. You booked this venue using my credit card without my permission. So, I exercised my rights as the contract holder." I gestured to the open doors of the ballroom. "Take a look." Derek and Megan looked past the guards. They saw the Leo's Level 10 banner. They saw Leo on the stage, laughing with his friends, holding a trophy. They saw the Neon Nexus equipment that he had promised Leo but stolen the money for. You changed the party," Megan shrieked. But Toby's friends are coming. This is Toby's day." "Toby is welcome to come in as a guest," I said calmly. "He can have some pizza and play games. He's a child. He didn't do anything wrong. But you two, you aren't stepping foot inside." "You can't do this," Derek screamed, his tuxedo suddenly looking ridiculous as he turned red with rage. "I planned this. I did the work." "You did the fraud," I corrected, "and now I'm doing the eviction." I nodded to the guards. "Please escort Mr. and Mrs. Miller off the property. If they return, call the police." "Ava," Derek shouted as the guards grabbed his arms. "I'll sue you. I'll tell Mom you're dead to me." "I've been dead to you for years, Derek," I said, watching him struggle. "I was just a ghost with a checkbook, but the checkbook is closed." As they were dragged toward the parking lot, screaming obscenities, the other parents, Derek's potential clients, watched in horrified fascination. One of them, a woman in a Chanel suit, walked up to me. "Excuse me," she said, "did he really forge your signature?" "He did," I said, "and if you gave him a deposit for anything, I suggest you call your bank. Today." The woman's eyes went wide. She pulled out her phone and started dialing immediately. I turned back to the ballroom. Leo was waving at me from the stage, wearing a VR headset, a huge grin on his face. "Best birthday ever," he shouted. I waved back, my hand steady, my heart finally light. The fallout was swift and total. The scene at the country club spread through the community like wildfire. The parents who witnessed Derek being dragged out told everyone. The de-event planning reputation was incinerated before it even had a chance to exist. The lawsuit was a slam dunk. My lawyer, Roberts, presented the paper trail, the forged contract, the bank transfers, the text messages, and Derek's lawyer, a public defender, since he couldn't afford a private one, advised him to settle immediately to avoid criminal charges. Derek is currently on a court-ordered repayment plan. Every month, $200 is garnished from his wages at his new job, stocking shelves at a warehouse, and deposited into a savings account for Leo. It will take him 5 years to pay me back. I don't even need the money, but I cash every check. It's the principle. My parents didn't speak to me for 3 months. They called me cruel and vindictive. But then, the truth came out about other things. It turned out Derek had borrowed from their retirement fund too, a few thousand here and there that he swore he'd paid back but hadn't. When they realized their golden boy had fleeced them too, the silence stopped. They apologized, quietly and shamefully, over a Thanksgiving dinner where Derek wasn't invited. As for Toby, I made sure he wasn't punished for his parents' sins. I sent him a nice gift for his birthday, a Nintendo Switch, with a note that said, "Love, Aunt Ava." Megan tried to return it, probably out of spite, but Derek must have stopped her, or maybe Toby saw it first. I got a thank you card from Toby a week later, written in crayon. "Thank you, Aunt Ava. Daddy is mad, but I love the game." That card sits on my fridge. Leo's 10th birthday is still talked about at his school. The Neon Nexus takeover was legendary. He never knew about the theft, the forgery, or the near disaster. All he knows is that his mom threw him the coolest party in history. I sat on my back porch recently, sipping wine, looking at the stars. I was tired from work, my feet ached, but I felt a profound sense of peace. I had lost a brother, yes, but I had found something else. I found my spine. I found the line in the sand that separates family from parasite. Derek wanted a surprise party. Well, he got one. And I got my life back.